go into full screen here. Okay, we'll be getting started on our back with your strap. And just having your blocks nearby, or again, any alternatives to props that you're using at home. And again, you'll want a loop. This is eventually here in a second going to go around our knees. So creating a loop in your strap, more or less looking like this, so that when you pull or resist, that is, it doesn't slip out. So you might have to just take a moment. You can also just tie a knot, whatever works. You don't have to yet put them around your knees, but that's where we're going here in a minute, because we're going to open up with a pelvis reset. I've been incorporating this into my practice a lot recently, and also doing a lot of work on psoas release. I don't think I realized how much tension I've been carrying in that particular area of my body. So I wanted to offer that to you all as well. So let's first though lay on the earth floor. And if you are listening along, go ahead and cue up and hit play right about now. We are going to begin laying down. So we're going to basically start where we're going to end. And having your blocks unstrap within reach. Let's first just literally lay on the earth floor and do a scan. Take a breath. Just kind of taking in your surroundings, envisioning this arrival and creating, you know, even with the home practice, working with what we got, but creating a bit of like a sphere that is your space for your practice. And we're going to start with a little bit of a reset for our nervous system. So we're just laying, and the entire body is going to be relaxed, especially the spine and the belly space. Palms face up, just like Shavasana. What we're going to do is point our feet, our toes up towards the ceiling so that you root your heels down into your mat. And if it feels slippy in terms of the fabric, like for me, I have it wrapped around my feet a little bit, you can always just make any adjustments so that you kind of have a little bit of grip there underneath your heels. And we're just going to start to point and flex the toes. And that is the only movement and the only effort. We'll be doing this for about 60 seconds. We're going to focus on our breath. And if you'd like, the exhale here is out the mouth, breathing in through the nose. Focus on the exhale. And we just point, flex, point, flex. And if the spine is relaxed, the head naturally shakes yes and no. Scan the face, ask the face to be relaxed across the forehead, down into the cheekbones and jaw. Getting the entire spine relaxed, the belly relaxed. Breathing in through the nose. Exhaling out the mouth. Ask your entire body to relax and receive in point, flex, point, flex. So it's just a gentle sort of shimmy. Asking our nervous system to respond by releasing tension on that layer. And just envisioning hitting an internal reset button. And we're also like flushing out the old to create space for the new. Let's go about 20 more seconds. Breathe in through the nose. Sigh out the mouth. Just layer upon layer of release. Embodying spaciousness, embodying that essence of reset. 10 more seconds. And then just release and be still. Receive the energy. Just witness this sensation. And now reaching arms up overhead, take a yana-like stretch of breath. From here, bending the knees. And we're going to open up with a pelvis reset. It's a 4-part sequence. And we'll start by using our block. And we're going to use the block lengthwise, right? So the long edge between the knees. Walking your heels in close to your glutes, and your feet are pretty close to one another, and we're actively squeezing the block between the knees. So that'll create some energy and engagement in the inner thighs. We also want to contract our lower abdomen. So create a fist in your low belly. And we're going to anchor our elbows down and point the fingers up. But the neck is relaxed. We're just gazing straight up at the ceiling, trying to relax other areas of the body, especially the face. And we're just going to go side to side just enough so that you tilt and lift your hip, opposite hip up. Again, we're gazing straight up. We're anchoring down through the elbows, and we're just going side to side, squeezing the block, breathing, using the connection to your core to create some muscle memory to control this motion. And it's real subtle. It's not like we're actively swinging side to side. Just going at a pace where you can feel like you can still breathe and control, staying engaged, again, squeezing into the block, pushing down through the elbows. Relaxed in the face, breathing in and out. Let's go about a few more. And once more to each side, releasing through center. Very similar, except we're going to turn the block, so it's the narrow width versus the long between the knees. So you might be able to get your feet a little closer together. Again, heels close to the glutes, rooting elbows down, squeezing into the block, creating a low fist in your belly, or your low belly. Contract there, and we start to sway side to side in the knees so that you can, again, use the engagement of your core to control that. Squeeze actively into the block. Stay rooted down through your elbows and keep the breath fluid and smooth. Breathing in, breathing out, right? Those inner thighs are pretty fired up, right? For actively squeezing our block or whatever we're using. One more time to each side. And release. You can just rest your knees together for a moment, walk your feet out wide. We're gonna grab a hold of our strap now. Loop your strap around the feet, through the legs, so that you're just above the knees, around your thighs. So that when you squeeze against outwardly into the strap, you engage your outer, we're stabilizing our hips here. Again, heels are close in to the glutes. Feet pretty close to one another. And again, just rooting down through the elbows. Actively squeeze against the strap, right? Create that resistance. And again, we're gonna go side to side so that you're just lifting opposite hip. Engage your core, stay contracted into that lower abdomen, and just go side to side. So now you're feeling the outer hips kind of fire up and engage. All of these muscles that work together, of course, to stabilize our pelvis. And the breath just smooth and fluid. Face relaxed. Side to side. Again, using your core, not momentum. One more time to each side. Coming through center, keeping your strap where it is. If your feet have scooted out wide, bring the heels back in. Again, feet close to one another. We're now going to press to lift the hips up, staying rooted down through the elbows. Engage your core. So it's like a bridge pose, but we're using the straps. We're still activating, of course, those outer hips and thighs. And really relax, creating a crescent shape with your head, swaying your head lightly side to side. Just to release and reset up into the cervical spine. So you're not shaking your head, you're creating more of a crescent moon shape. Rocking gently into that crescent shape. Face relaxed, feeling the energy in the legs. Nice and easy with this motion. One more time to each side. And release hips down. Draw your knees in, releasing your strap. Keeping it close by. We'll use that later in the practice. Leaving your blocks nearby if you'll want to be using those throughout the practice. Let's just hug the knees in. Give yourself a squeeze. Say hello. And if you want, you can rock side to side here, or bring your feet down and just gentle, like windshield wiper, side to side. We're going to make our way into a seated position. So you can either begin to roll over to one side and press up from there, or maybe rock a few times vertically, if that feels welcome in the spine. A little bit of a massage until we make our way up into a cross-legged seat. So finding a seated position that feels comfortable and balanced. We'll begin by just stretching down into the fingertips, touching the earth floor as if literally reaching down into the earth. We're going to stay connected to our core throughout the practice. So keep that, what we call, our bandha, where we contain, but we also just stabilize, draw that low belly fist. And as we root down into fingertips, down through sits bones, there's a duality, right? There's an opposite energetic lift through heart space, all the way up through neck, crown of head. So just envision this like invisible pole. We're rooting down and we're equally rising up. And let's explore that with our breath. Our inhale from the pit of the belly, drawing up through heart space, up through crown of head. We'll breathe in and out of the nose now, exhaling, slowing it down through the nose, maybe feeling that down between the shoulder blades, down the spine, into the fingertips. Our next inhale, let's reach arms up now, up overhead, growing tall. We'll take this into a twist, left hand to right knee, dropping your back hand like a kickstand, keeping the heart lifted, the spine long, and just gently gazing over your right shoulder. Eyes can be closed or open. Steady eyes, smooth breath. Continue to explore that essence of being rooted down and equally rising up. Earth, air, and ether elements. And then releasing through center. Once again, reaching arms up overhead. And we'll twist to the other side, setting it up, lengthening the spine, lifted through the heart. And again, a gentle, soft gaze over your left shoulder. Scanning the face, asking it to stay relaxed. And for our breath to be present. Drawing that breath even while gently twisting out the back body. Breathing from the pit of the belly all the way up into the nostrils, slowing down the exhale. And then releasing through center. Let's just slide our hands onto our knees. Now we're going to roll out from the hips up into the shoulders, getting into the side body, the hips. As we now invoke the water element from the hips into the spine, into the fluid nature of flow, in this case, movement, right? Also flow of breath. Beginning to spark a bit of a rhythm within. And if you've been going one direction, maybe just switch, start to flow the other way. Right? Just trust your intuition if there's any sensation you want to lean into. Or maybe it's a more subtle circular flow. Just envision your spine, right? It's just going with the flow. Like we're strongly rooted and we stay rooted into the earth, but we allow now the flow. And release. So one more sequence here seated as we continue to warm up the spine of that body into the hips. Reaching arms up overhead. Coming into eagle arms, left arm under, right arm over, either connecting here, wrap fingers or wrap the wrist, or you can hold on to your shoulders. Drawing elbows forward, notice how that encourages that lift of the heart as we stay rooted down through the base of the spine. Envisioning your breath now, its presence right between the shoulder blades. And you can either stay just right here in neutral, just breathe, eyes closed or open. We can also twist, bringing elbows to one side, gazing over opposite shoulder, and just kind of going side to side and taking this at your pace. Or if some more fluid movement feels intuitive as well as welcome in the low back in particular, we can start to just flow here, creating shapes, patterns of movement with the elbows, fingertips. Again, this can be really subtle, choosing either of those three variations of being still, gently twisting, or flowing. And then bringing it back through center. Let's stretch arms out like a giant wingspan. Fingertips root right back down into the earth floor. And then reaching arms up overhead. So one more round here. Eagle arms other side, right arm under. Right, choosing your variation. And breath, noticing that rise, that lift through heart. And either finding gentle twist side to side. Staying right at center, just breathing into the back body. Or finding some flow. Again, following patterns of movement that emerge, that feel intuitive and welcome in the back body, the side body. And just feel like we're just rolling out waves of tension, even the most subtle tension that we carry. And we'll just use this mindful movement, use our breath to continue to flush out, to deeply release, and to embody spaciousness, all the while keeping ourselves rooted, right? And coming back through center. Again, arms stretch. Nice wide wingspan here. Fingertips return. A moment to notice. And we'll make our way into all fours. Tabletop pose, sliding knees back. Positioning hands under shoulders. Now, coming to a variation of cow and cat that I've been working with. So we're going to come onto our fingertips, creating spider hands. And we'll come into a real exaggerated slow cow pose. So belly relaxes as it drops. So you press into your fingertips and begin to open up through chest, throat, gazing right through your forehead center. And now we'll contract, engage that lower abdomen, create that fist in the low belly as we begin to round slowly from the base of the spine. So it's a cat variation, like an angry Halloween cat. And then from here, stretching hips back towards heels, maybe they touch. And we'll do that again twice more. As the belly drops, allow it to relax. Rise up to the top of the inhale. Create that low fist in the belly, engage, begin to round from the base of the spine through each vertebrae, through this cow variation. Again, stretching hips back towards heels. And we'll do that once more. Inhaling, scoop open, belly drops, throat opens, gazing right through forehead center. And then we trace that through heart as we round, engage your low abdomen, and stretch back hips. Let's rest for a moment. Child sliding hands forward now. Hands can either be flat. Maybe we just find a little bit of movement here, rocking side to side. You can also bring hands into prayer, either on the mat or behind the head. Our practice is also going to be a little bit slower today. Slow but fluid. We're going to make our way forward and into a downward facing dog. Arriving to our first downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Allow yourself to move or to root and be still. And then when it feels intuitive for you, just settling into your down dog. If you need to rest at any time, just come down back to hands and knees or rest in child's pose. So as we're gazing back at the feet, feel the energy of your arms as you wrap outwardly through the shoulders, elbows inwardly. And as the arms engage, notice the back of your neck. Ask it to relax, to lengthen. Take a breath, a very grounding breath. You can exhale either through the nose or the mouth, whatever feels good to you. Bringing it forward into a plank pose. So we're going to modify this first plank. We're going to lower knees, chest, and chin, keeping the hips lifted to begin. So elbows hug in as we bring it down. Again, hips lifted. Knees, chest, chin connect to earth. Draw the pit of the belly in. Just feel that connection as we now slide onto the belly, stretching legs long, releasing forehead down. We'll come into a variation of cobra, sliding onto your fingertips off to the edges of your mat like spider hands. Maybe do a little shimmy here in the hips, shake it out, stretch the feet back. And then as we root down, root your pelvis down, lift your kneecaps, rising up through head and shoulders, rolling shoulder heads back so you create space across the chest, gazing straight down to keep the neck long. And then releasing down, slow and mindful, forehead back to earth. Again, engage. Imprint your pelvis down. Begin to rise up through head and shoulders. Open across chest space. And releasing back down. So we'll just keep this flow going, this flowing cobra, mindful, up and down, moving with your breath. Feeling each vertebrae in the spine. Opening across chest, and you can stay with that or begin to flow into more of a dancing cobra, rolling out through shoulders. Moving in a way, again, movement, patterns of movement that feel like you're just unlocking, unleashing, flushing out. Deep release and embodying fluidity and spaciousness. While feeling all the while this connection of the front body into that grounding earth floor. Slowly we'll release, pressing up to all fours. Just one round here, coming back onto your fingertips, under your wrists, shoulders. Drop the belly, cow pose. Take a breath, open up through chest, throat, gazing straight through forehead center. Engage the low belly, contract as we begin to round through each vertebrae. And then stretching hips back towards heels. Coming right back into downward facing dog. Or taking your time to get there. Taking a breath.
Bringing feet to touch at the back of the mat. Again, mindfully begin to lift the right leg for like a count of 3. Engaging the back of the thigh, squeeze and lengthen. Hold here, keeping the leg straight to begin. Open the hip without collapsing into your left shoulder. Stay rooted equally through the hands. Notice the body just open and lengthen. From here now, bend the knee. You're going to swing that right knee forward as you bring your shoulders forward. Your right knee towards your right elbow or shoulder, and then just circle it in towards the nose and lengthen back. It's almost like you're tracing a version of a figure 8 shape. Again, open the hip, leg is long, arms strong, spine stretches out, bend the knee, scoop the knee forward and out. So we're really getting into the hip joint, bringing the knee in, drop the forehead towards knee, and we'll do that once more, and then we'll step it through. Lengthening back, open the hip, bend the knee, swing out, come forward. And as you gaze forward, we're going to step our right foot to our right hand or use your right hand to support that transition. We'll keep the back knee lifted. So at this point, you can be up on your fingertips or using blocks under your hands. Lengthen the front leg. Lift your toes up towards the ceiling. Drop chin to chest. And then come back forward. Lower the back knee. Just lift up slightly through chin, chest, forehead. Come onto the ball of the back foot. Tuck the toes. Lift the back knee. Lengthen. Lift your toes. Tuck in. And then bringing it back forward. Lowering the back knee. Now from here, sweeping fingertips back by your hips. Begin to lift through chest. Sweeping arms behind you like wingspan, up and overhead, interlacing fingers, and drop your head into your hands. Ask the face to stay relaxed, the breath to explore this sensation from the hips up into the heart, into the head, and then reaching arms out, coming into an open arm twist, so you're gazing over your right shoulder. And then reverse the hands, left arm up and over, back hand connects to the body. Allow the hips to stretch open, maybe even a slight back bend, as if someone was just gently pressing their fingertips right between your shoulder blades. Breathe here. And cartwheeling hands down. Lift the back knee. Stretch your front leg long, lifting toes, dropping chin to chest. Coming back forward now. Plank pose from here, stepping the right foot back. You're welcome to modify as we did earlier. Otherwise, coming forward and lower halfway down or to the belly. You can also just hold plank or hold down dog. Taking our time with just this slow and intentional flow up through upward facing dog, unless you're staying low for your cobra. Maybe gazing over one shoulder and then the other. Making our way back, down dog. So you can always hold here and just breathe here for about 3 to 5 breaths or come through the flow. Feet come to touch. Again, moving slowly, left leg lifts. Keeping the leg long to start, open that hip. Again, just notice all this length and space. Try not to collapse too much in that right shoulder. Bend the knee, scoop out towards left elbow. So shoulders come forward, then tuck the knee right in towards the nose. We'll do that again 2 more times. Open. Bend the knee. Bring it right in towards the nose. Once more, we'll step forward, stretch long, open up. Bend the knee, scoop out. Tuck in, gaze forward, left foot steps forward to the left hand, taking your time with that transition. Lengthen the front leg, lift the toes, chin to chest. Drop the head, back of the neck, relaxed into the base of the skull, into the facial muscles. As We come back forward, lowering the back knee, staying here, just lifting through the heart. Breathe into that hip space, right into that sensation. Again, lifting the back knee, lengthen the front leg, lift your toes, chin to chest. And coming back forward, lower the back knee. From here, we're going to reach fingertips back by the hips as the chest lifts. Reaching hands straight behind the shoulder blades. And then up overhead, interlacing hands, dropping head into those hands, elbows face up, gazing up. Again, asking the face to soften, for the breath to explore from the hip space all the way up as you stay rooted into that front foot. Reaching arms out and opening into your twist, gazing over the left shoulder, and then reverse the arms. Back hand connects to the body around the hip or sliding down the back leg. Right arm up and over. Another breath. Cartwheeling hands down, connect. Lift the back knee, lengthen the front leg, lift the toes, drop chin to chest. And as you come back forward, again, choosing your path here. We'll start with plank. You can always hold plank, just breathe there. Back to down dog, hold there, or a mindful flow. Move with your breath. Take your time. Enjoy slowing down. As we make our way back, downward facing dog. Take a breath. Feet come to touch, reach the right leg just one time here. Open the hip. Bend the knee. Swing out towards the right elbow, tuck it in towards the forehead. We're going to step right through. Lengthen the front leg, lift the toes, drop chin to chest. This time as we come back forward, coming right into a warrior two. So pivot the back heel down, align the feet and the arms open, Virabhadrasana 2. Smoothing out across chest, across shoulders, even energy, front fingers, back fingers, front foot, back foot. And then we're anchored right at our center, still connected to that invisible pole, downward and upward. Turning palms up now to face the ceiling. Lengthen your front leg, arms come up overhead, hands can stay apart or you can interlace and even gently stretch back. Coming back through warrior two, smooth out, anchor and center. Palms turn up, rising up again. Hands can stay apart or maybe interlaced, gently tilting back. And bring it back. One more time with this flow. Up, back. And then from here, arms parallel to set up a triangle pose, Trikonasana. So if you need to adjust, first feet so that we start there. And then leaning into it, bringing your hand to a block or to the leg, choosing where you can place that hand where you're still spacious and open across the chest. And the energy here is that we feel lifted out of the hips and strongly rooted in the feet, just as if I was reaching forward. I'm holding myself up here from the engagement in my legs and my core. So maintaining that in the lower body as the upper body opens, and just gaze wherever's best for your neck. Try to relax a bit, even though we're engaged in the lifted arm, relax in the shoulder space. And if it's helpful to maybe unlock something we might be carrying in the shoulder, chest, between the shoulder blades, find some movement here. And allow the lifted arm to flow. And then connect to the hip. From here, we're going to set up balancing half moon, gazing down, bending into the front knee. And if you're using a block, right, it's under the right hand, outside of the right shoulder.
So we lift the left leg, and you can always just stay right here. You can bring this up against a wall at home. You can hold on to like a table or a wall with the right hand, right? Just find your path of stabilizing. And then maybe from there, there's variations of lifting up through the left arm to the ceiling. You can bend the foot, grab a hold of the ankle for a half bow, finding even just a bit of a back bend, as well as a nice stretch for the front quad. And just breathe into it, lean into it. Your expression here, your experience with Ardha Chandrasana, if you have connected to the foot, open back up. We'll come through standing splits just as a transition. So we're gazing at the back of the mat. Allow the foot to land. Slide your hands to the inside of your front foot. In like an active lizard pose. We're gonna make our way into a wide-legged forward fold. So if you need to, adjust, if you still wanna be facing me, you can do so on your mat so that you turn your feet in and stretch your hands forward. Coming up onto your fingertips, again, just like you're like literally reaching, rooting into the earth, dropping ears between bicep. Stretch the hips back, just noticing all of that length in the spine. Relaxing into the neck, the face. And then coming forward, turning feet in and, heels in, toes out. So we're gonna come back into that long arm stretch, but start to move side to side. Of course, finding your flow with this. So play with where you place your fingertips. Maybe they're more like by the feet. You want to keep this fluid, of course, most of all safe for the knees. This can be just micro movements, more like in the hips, or it can be more stretched out like ninja flow side to side. And you can keep it low to the earth. At any time you can bring it back just into a resting position of a wide-legged forward fold, right? Our Prasarita Trikonasana. Or if you're so inspired, you can really just start to create a space of canvas to embody expression through movement. Whatever shows up for you, right? Not how it looks. All about how it feels. The beauty of an at-home practice is to embrace tuning into your own inner wisdom, right? This can actually feel always for me pretty primal in terms of how my body wants to safely move and express and open. Again, unlocking, undoing, unleashing, flushing out the old, embodying spaciousness for the new. Very symbolic this time of year with solstice, the return of the light day by day, celestial events closing out a pretty epic year. We're going to slow it down. Whew. Coming back into wide-legged forward fold. And then halfway lift. From here, grabbing a hold of the hips, rising all the way up, coming into a spacious star pose, heels in, once again, feet out. And then sort of cartwheel hands right down to the mat, facing the front of your mat. From a low lunge, stepping back into plank. Whew. And you can hold it right here, go right back to down dog, or bring it forward and down for a mindful flow, moving with the breath, slow with intention, back to downward facing dog. Taking a grounding breath, feel the release of the exhale. Feet come to touch, left leg lifts. Stretch open, allow the hip to open. Bend the knee, scoop or swing the knee out towards the elbow, tuck it in towards the nose, gazing forward into low lunge. Keeping the back knee lifted, lengthen the front leg, lift the toes, chin to chest.
And as we come back forward now, set up our warrior two on this side. Turning the back heel, opening across the arms. You can ask for that even flow. Front fingertips, back fingertips, front foot, back foot, anchored at that center line. Breathe. Turn palms face up. Lengthen the front leg, hands touch, or are apart or touch, and we can lean back. Coming back into warrior. Smooth out. Rise up. One more time with this flow through warrior. Palms turn up. Lengthen. Maybe stretch back. And then setting up for our triangle pose on this side. So again, if you want to adjust your feet first, maybe a little bit shorter of a stance, heel to heel alignment as the pelvis kind of tilts back, reaching forward, and bring that left hand down. If you have a block, or you grab a hold of the leg, again, creating that foundation in the low body. Engage the core, create that connection, that low sort of fist in the low belly, that is. And then opening into Trikonasana. Breathe into it. Notice how rooted we are, how strong we are in the low body, and just that space across the chest. If you want further release for the shoulder, if it's conducive, just start to swing around, slow and mindful, creating circular movement in that lifted arm to really open up into the shoulder. And then grabbing a hold of your hip for balancing half moon on this side, gazing down, and bend into that front knee. Grabbing a hold of the block. We're coming up against a wall because we'll be here for a little bit. If you want to bend the top knee, grab a hold of the foot. If you have the foot release, come through a standing splits, just to gaze at the back of the mat, see the back foot land, and sliding your hands to the inside of the front foot. Pausing here, lizard pose. And once more, we'll turn to face into a wide-legged forward fold. We're just going to hold this one and keep it still. And you're welcome to stay right here. If you'd rather come back into some movement, you can come back into a little bit of flowing side to side, lunging. Or if you have something like a tripod headstand, you could set that up here. Or maybe just coming into a resting phase of holding onto your elbows like a rag doll. You can also plant your hands down as if coming in a tripod, but just stay there and stretch, like by pressing into the hands, stretch out the spine, of course the backs of the legs, the neck is relaxed and long. Taking your time, if you're still working with any of those variations, we're going to make our way right into a half pigeon pose. So as you turn to face your right foot, you can also come into this from down dog, otherwise just very mindfully scoot that right foot over, lower the front knee and the back knee. An alternative, of course, here, alternatives always welcome. Maybe something on your back, like a supported bridge or recline butterfly, or a figure four stretch. So now we're just going to slow it down even further. If you're not already there, coming into a resting phase. Maybe bring that forehead all the way down. And just notice the shift of coming into stillness, of like folding up close, nestling in close to the earth floor. And just the presence of breath.
Just do a bit of a scan across the shoulders, the neck, into the jaw. If we're holding on, can we ask for release? One more deep breath here. And as we release, just taking some time, a little bit of counter movement, or maybe you want to stay in your pigeon, a little bit longer, or come upright and come into some king pigeon variations. Or maybe back to down dog, child's pose, cow and cat. Choose your path into your pigeon on the other side. I'm just going to swing my left knee forward and just make my way slowly into half pigeon pose on the other side. It's setting it up mindfully. Any supports that you feel, again, just secure, or any alternatives. Whenever you're ready, we'll meet in our resting phase. Bring it down as if being cradled and held and supported. Allow your breath, each inhale, to embody spaciousness. And for each cycle of exhale, to embody release. Listen to your breath. Ujjayi breath. Hollow out the back of your throat and allow it to be audible and to make sound, just like the ocean waves in the distance. Doing a physical scan, notice if if there's resistance showing up. Can we just move around a little bit, or just breathe into it, lean into it, and ask for release, to be soft. Releasing in your own time. Again, we'll just hold a little bit of space here for any counter movement or counter variations of pigeon. Maybe back to down dog. One last child's pose. Cow and cat. Eventually we'll come to our seat. We're going to grab our strap or have it nearby, and our block, 1 or 2 blocks, as we'll be doing some work now, laying down, paving our way towards our final relaxation. So laying down, bringing the feet to the earth. Let's just pause before we get into our psoas. Release. Bring the knees together and feet apart. Create a diamond shape or mudra, thumbs together, pointer finger and other fingers like facing up, and just rest that shape right on your belly so that your thumbs are facing up towards your heart and your fingertips are creating that triangular shape down right towards your root. You can also open the knees and bring your feet together if that feels more comfortable, coming into Recline Butterfly. Otherwise, knees together, feet out wide. And just breathe with awareness. In the embodiment, each inhale of spaciousness, openness. Each exhale, a deep layer of release, perceived limitation. And then from here, bringing feet to the mat, grabbing a hold of one block,
To start, end your strap. Lifting hips up ever so slightly so you can just slide your block on its low setting so it's real secure. Or if you're using like a sturdy, cushion or alternative, you can also do this without the block. So you're like in a little mini supported bridge pose. We're going to lengthen the right leg, root your heel down, and keep your toes pointed up. So the right leg stays engaged as we draw the left knee in, and make sure you have your strap nearby. So we're going to hug that left knee in. Just give it a gentle squeeze up towards the left shoulder. And you can use your right hand to feel like sort of from your front hip, your right hip, into the very top of your right thigh, into the abdomen. This is where we want to focus breath. And the felt sensation of each inhale, creating some space. Each exhale, a release of even the most subtle tension. The face stays relaxed. Try to relax other parts of the body, keeping the right leg engaged. Again, the breath. You can breathe in or out of the nose or mouth. It's on your exhale. Focus on the exhale. One more breath. Now grabbing a hold of your strap, looping it around your left foot. Lengthen your left leg up. You can hold on to the strap. Let's release the right arm like a cactus. Bending the elbow beside you. And then holding on, but try to relax the left shoulder a bit. Now notice that the left hip, it naturally wants to swing out. Lengthen your left hip down. Keep your right leg engaged. And then for me, like I start to shake a little bit if I'm a little bit more mindful. Otherwise, it's like we just revert to like the path of least resistance in the body. So the hip, again, wants to swing out, at least for me. So I draw the right hip down. Again, I'm still focused on the top of my right hip and thigh and abdomen, and I'm breathing. Trying to stay relaxed in the face, shoulders. Now we're going to turn our left toes out just a little bit, like 11 o'clock. And allow that hip to open or that leg to open so that you can still stay on the block. If it's easier, you can also bend your elbow. Keep everything else relaxed except the engagement of the right leg. And if it feels okay for the neck, you can turn your gaze over the right shoulder. Breathe into the front right hip. And we'll come right back to center. Switch hands. You're holding onto the strap with your right hand. Create that cactus with the left. Now turn your foot out to like 1 o'clock and gently bring that left leg over just until you feel sensation where you can stay on the block. We'll come into a twist from here. So bend your right knee just so you can lift and slide the block. And for this twist, you can keep the right knee bent. You can also bend the front knee and release the strap and come to a twist from there, or keeping the leg long. Maybe gaze over the left shoulder. And then coming back through center, we're going to repeat that on the other side. Option for a closing inversion, and then make our way into our final relaxation. Sliding the block under the hips. This time lengthening the left leg, root the heel down, toes face up, having your strap nearby, and tuck that right knee in. I feel it so much more on the side forever in terms of like that immediate sort of sensation and length in my psoas down into my front thigh. So just breathe wherever you feel this. Try to stay relaxed everywhere else. You can breathe in or out of the nose, whatever feels best to you. Sometimes when I'm doing deep release work, I tend to breathe in terms of my exhale out the mouth. And do a scan, notice if any resistance is showing up elsewhere. One more breath here. Grabbing a hold of your strap. looping it around the right foot. You can relax your left arm beside you, creating a cactus, a bent elbow. Notice if the right hip and leg kind of swung out. Lengthen the right hip. Lengthen it into the block. Keep the left leg engaged, toes flex up. And flex your right toes down towards your face, but try to relax the right shoulder, not creating any unwanted like resistance in the right arm. And just breathe into what you feel. And then turning the right toes out to like 1 o'clock, just a little bit out to the side. Again, if it's more helpful, you can bring the elbow down so that you can stay on the block and just focus again in that front hip on your left side into the abdomen, front of thigh. Breathe. If it's helpful, you can always just connect your left hand there to encourage that breath and mind-body connection, creating some like memory, right? And then back through center, again, switching hands, release your right elbow beside you in hand, turning your right toes out to 11 o'clock, and then over to the side. Option to turn your gaze over the right shoulder. One more breath here, and then bending the knee so that you can lift up, slide your block aside, and find your twist with or without your strap on this side. Gazing over right shoulder. And releasing, hugging your knees in. Give yourself a squeeze, rock side to side. If you'd rather bring your feet down, just gentle windshield wiper side to side. Just notice if you felt some release there. And for me, it's pretty present. Now you are welcome at this time. If you want to come right into your relaxation, especially after that deep stretching we just did, please feel free. Or if you'd like to close with an inversion, my favorite is legs up the wall when I'm feeling like more restorative. But instead I'll do waterfall. I'm going to use, in this case, 2 blocks right underneath my sacrum. So it's a real sturdy foundation, lifting knees up. You can also keep feet down and just enjoy a restorative bridge pose. Any other alternative posture or inversion or something on your back, maybe just staying low. Or if you want to come into waterfall, using the support of blocks or a cushion. Legs extend up. And just tuning into that sensation, that downward flow, that effortless receiving. Again, it's like flushing out. Now we're like reversing that action of an energetic reset, of flushing out, of literally like flushing out our systems with our head beneath our heart and our feet up in the ether. Try to envision your legs just really relaxed and floating in space. If it's comfortable to close the eyes, otherwise you can just gaze peacefully at one point of detail. Allow that to be a meditation. If it's comfortable to close the eyes, allow your gaze to rest right at your forehead center. And just dive in to that space. For when we close our eyes and we move towards stillness, we can have the opportunity to dive into an infinite well of space and presence and connection. When we've done the work of release and embodied spaciousness, it's like we've hit a light switch, energetically open and on to receive, to be aware, to let go of perceived limitations, and to dive into this space of just infinite and pure potentiality. All of the ways in which we connect and express ourselves, from the work that we do to the relationships we are in, to just how we choose to connect and engage to ourselves, to others, to source. you want to stay in an inversion a little bit longer, please feel free. If you are ready at this time, start to make our way into the final phase of practice, into Shavasana. If there's any closing postures that will help bring you full circle. We're going to come back to where we started before we drop into relaxation, right? That opening reset for our nervous system. So now we're just going to like close the loop. So toes face up, heels rooted down, start to point and flick through the toes. Point, flex, point, flex. Everything else is completely relaxed. The spine, the belly. Focus on your breath. Maybe the breath has become a little bit softer. It's still present, but it might just be finding more of a natural state in the nostrils or elsewhere. Again, flushing out and embodying spaciousness. Hitting that deepest inner reset button. About 20 more seconds, and nice and easy. Entire rest of the body relaxed. Just point, flex, point, flex. With a relaxed spine, the head naturally just shakes yes. 10 more seconds. And release. Receive. Moving into your Shavasana. Releasing all effort. So that we can arrive into a state of effortlessly receiving. In spaciousness, lightness, openness, as you stay rooted beneath you, deeply into the earth floor.
And my friends, this is where I will sign off and leave you peacefully to remain as long as you would like in your Shavasana, or perhaps a seated meditation. If you are listening, right, to the playlist, this track will continue for several more minutes. Thank you so much for joining me. Be well. And just a reminder, tomorrow night, if the skies are clear, to take a gaze up at the wonder. I hope to see you next week.